Hey guys, how's it going? We're gonna go ahead and work on this 2000 Chevy Blazer. It should be the same thing pretty much for a GMC Jimmy or a Oldsmobile Bravada 97 to 3000. I want to say 96 through 2000 as well. But what we're gonna go ahead and do is change out the transmission shift cable, and the shifter is on the column. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. I'll get under there right now and you'll be able to see what I'll actually be working on. Before you get started, go ahead and remove the negative cable from the battery because you don't know what you may bump into or touch. And I know that one of my cousins was working on the BMW a while ago and he just touched a couple cables that weren't supposed to touch, and he blew out the airbag, the driver's side airbag, and that cost him like a few $1,000s because he had to repair or get the windshield replaced because it busted the windshield, and also of course deployed the airbag, which is a big old pain in the ass. So here we are down here, and this is right underneath the driver's side. Not right underneath, but you know what I'm trying to say. So there's the neutral safety switch, and here's the shifter cable that we're going to be working on. Right, so we're going to go ahead and take that out. Right, if you follow that up, it goes that way, and then it follows all the way up to this way, and let's turn this around. And then if you see that, it goes right back in. And just the way that it seemed underneath, it felt like it was going to the back of the truck, but it's just going right back to the front. So that's under the driver's seat. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and take this off down here, right, to go ahead and get underneath the carpet where I believe the cable is supposed to be at. And it probably goes that way, but I don't know, man. I'm just going off of what I can figure out because I'm not looking at a Chilton book or a Haynes manual. It's just kind of figuring this shit out because there's nothing on the internet that shows what I need to do. So let's see where this takes us. So if you guys don't know, you can just go ahead and get like a flathead and go ahead and just stick it under here and it'll pry up. There's no screws that are holding it, as far as I know. You know, if you run into some shit that's been screwed down, then maybe somebody kind of finagled some shit. Alright guys, when you're removing all this, I think these are like 15 millimeters or something like that, but I've been using a crescent wrench. So I took this one off, which is the front left. If you're sitting in the seat, this was the rear left, and then up here is the right side driver side nut. But when you come to the back, there's like a nut that has a freaking star key that you got to use. So go see if you can find one. If you can, you should be able to take this off. Let's see if I got one. Okay, and once you go ahead and get that bolt removed, you can go ahead and take out the seat. I'm going to try to take it out through the back. If I can't do that, I'll be taking it out through the front. We'll see what happens. Alright, once you go ahead and take off the seat, this is what it'll look like. Alright, and the cable that you're trying to get at is this guy right here, right? So once you lift up the carpet, right, you'll be able to lift it up, and you're gonna have to maneuver some stuff out of the way. This rubber stuff under here, what I guess it's a protectant, it's pretty stiff, so you're gonna have to like bend it and muscle it. And then under here there's like some insulation, and this shit is like glued down, so you're gonna have to like rip that shit out and then push this up. And what you're trying to get to is that guy, right? If you bought a new one like I did, right, you'll be able to tell that this piece also comes in with the new one. Okay, and as I showed you before, That's underneath. We're gonna go ahead and push that up. Then we're gonna follow that cable, okay, and we're gonna remove it from the console eventually. Okay, there are a few bolts or screws that we got to take out, so it's like a 7 or 8 millimeter. We'll go ahead and take those out so we have more room to see what the hell's going on. And then once that's that, we should be able to unhook it and then start putting all this shit back together. Hopefully it doesn't take too long, but I mean, I've been kind of messing with this for, I'd say, an hour, and this is just mainly because I don't fucking know what the fuck I'm doing. I mean, I know what I'm doing because I work on cars on the side, but as far as doing this shit, I've never done this one, so we're just going along, and hopefully this will help you guys out. All right, so I went ahead and took out those screws, and right now it looks like the OBD2 is stuck here to this little piece, so I'm gonna go ahead and take out those screws and turn that to the side and get that out of the way. Okay, so what I had to do is I went ahead and had to loosen all the bolts all the way to the right. There's a bottom piece right there that's kind of mingled in and connected, but I mean, you may not have to do that. I felt that I had to. Once again, I'm not going off of any manual. I'm just taking stuff apart and going where I think that we need to go. So the next thing that we need to go ahead and take off is this thing, right? Some type of protector, so I guess your knees or whatever doesn't bump into this part and then damages anything in here. So there's a couple of nuts you need to take off right over there, and then a couple nuts that you need to take off right there too. What we're trying to get to is right there. That's the one that we're trying to get to. We unhook it, and then we can really get some shit going. Once you go ahead and take that cover off, this metal cover right here, you're gonna go ahead and unhook that. There's a piece back here that you're gonna go ahead and unhook as well. And there's like a couple other things that you gotta take off, but this is the main thing that you're really trying to get to right here. So go ahead and take that off, and then once you take that off, you will be well on your way to getting this shit over with, putting everything back together, and then calling it a day. Okay, whenever you're taking this off right here, okay, there's a little spot back here where that piece of metal is that looks rusted out, where you have to take out this horseshoe clip. All right, so go ahead and take that out, and then once that's done, you need like a pair of pliers or something to press on this little guy back here. And it's hard to explain, but it's like one of those things where you got to press down on like one side and then the other, and then it'll push through that hole back there. So when I last took a video, I was trying to change out the part. I was trying to change out that automatic shift cable for a 2000 Chevy Blazer, and I went to O'Reilly's and they had this part. So I'm over here like, all right, you know, it's all good. It's O'Reilly's. It's fucking O'Reilly's. This shit's awesome. So I go and I get the shift cable and I go to try to put it on. You know, I ran it through, and it went through its little slot up here. Okay, I went through there, come down here, right? It's come down here, come down there, and then ends up here, right? Awesome. Well, apparently the one that O'Reilly's has is for a floor shift. And I'm not changing out one that goes to a floor shift, I'm changing out one that goes to a column. So when I went to O'Reilly's, they didn't ask me if it was for a column or a floor shift. So they just gave me what they had, and it was like, all right, you know, cool. Like that's what they got. Awesome. Right? They got a shift cable. Why would it be the wrong one? So I went ahead and I talked to them again, and I mean they weren't doing anything wrong. They're just parts guys, right? So I went to the Chevy dealership the next day after getting refunded for that part, and that's when I realized that there were two different cables, one for the floor shifter and one for a column shifter. So I ordered the part. It's been a couple days, and I got it in, and man, let me go ahead and just say right now, if you plan on changing this out, if you plan on changing this cable out, just go ahead and go to the dealership. It may be a little bit more, but you know what? They're gonna have both of the fucking cables that you need. You may need to wait a day or two, but man, my fucking life was fucking solved. This issue was solved within 15 minutes of me trying to put this shit back on. Whereas the first cable, I was literally just trying to figure this shit out all fucking day. You know, I didn't even think, it didn't cross my mind that it could have been the incorrect part. It's the right part if it's the right type of truck with the right type of shifter, but this shifter is on the column, and O'Reilly's, and I'm sure that every other store wouldn't have asked if it was on the column or the floor. So if you go and change out this cable, just go to the dealership, right? They're gonna go by VIN number, and then they're gonna ask you, you know, all the questions that the parts guys at Vance, O'Reilly's, AutoZone ask. But they're also gonna be a little bit more specific. And man, that should save me a whole bunch of fucking time. It costs a little bit more. It costs like $30 more for the part. But man, if I would have known that this was gonna be such a pain in the ass for me at first, I would have just paid the $30 and I would have been done with this shit like a couple days ago. But for the most part, try out your parts guys, and if you find that the cable's too short, maybe you need to go to a dealership and go get the right one, right? Not saying that you're wrong and saying that you ordered this and that or that and the other. It's just the Chevrolet will give you exactly what you need.